All right, everybody, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome. First of all, congratulations. We've all made it to week one. It's been a long off season, but we're hopefully all ready to get started with the college season this weekend, unless you've been working high school football, in which case you probably have already started, maybe a week or two before. Tonight, the plan is for Jim Bohr, line scrimmage official in the GLIAC and in the COC. He's going to take us through kind of a variety of topics, including forward and backward passes, IDP and OPI, talking both mechanics and philosophy. So I'm just going to turn it right on over to Jim. Jim, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Nick, and thanks for everyone stopping by. I don't have any PowerPoints or anything like that. I just got plays from last year that mean something. Forward backward passes are always a touchy call, and with replay, line of scrimmage guys got to know that we got to let those things go and let it go to replay because we can always fix it later with replay. And I have struggled in the past of mechanically not letting my other line of scrimmage official take that responsibility. I like to sometimes do too much, and this is going to be very, very helpful for me too, because I need to discipline myself and not be JoJo the circus monkey and trying to do everything and see everything and let everybody else do their job, because they've got a job to do and I got a job to do too. So with that being said, this first play that we have, it's the fourth play of the game, and we've got trips on one side, and that flips the responsibility of forward backward passes to the headline was at the bottom of the screen, and we have one
Jim?
right here from the get-go. So
Jim, are you trying to share a play?
yes, sir, I am.
You're
Oh, I
not.
haven't shared screen yet. Ha. Let me get right back there, buddy. Knew there was one step I was going to miss. Good
Okay.
now?
Yep, we're good.
All right. Now things start making sense. Okay. Trips to the top of the screen. That is going to flip the responsibility of forward backward to the line of scrimmage at the bottom of the screen. And when this play goes, I will play it through and let me know if it jumps. And if it does, then I can just go slow-mo forward, and maybe that'll make a little more sense. So I'll just play it through and
It's a little
did that
jumpy,
go
but it's
through
it's
okay?
it's a little jumpy, but it's not too bad.
Okay. So when we have um, going in motion, when he goes in motion, it is going to be still at the bottom of the screen. That's going to be that line of scrimmage responsibility. So ruling on this, you also see the line of scrimmage fish at the top of the screen ruling on this. And obviously we get into whether that's forward or backwards. And also right there at the point of attack, we do have a possible block in the back. And our philosophy is when that's parent to be making a tackle is to be able to pass on that block in the back because he made the tackle. So as that goes through, we do have a punch forward by the line of scrimmage, and obviously the line of scrimmage official at the bottom, you can't see what he or she is doing. So this is one of those things where we're communicating prior to the snap to the line of scrimmage guy to who has forward and backward, who is primary on that. The block in the back, we did not have a flag on that. I think that was all after the fact. I don't recall anybody bringing it up, whether that should have been a foul or not. But that is one that we would definitely want to pass on because that's got no effect on the play. Does anybody have anything they want to add to or take away from it? Nope. Okay. Next one is same thing, and now it's in the second half, so now we've flipped responsibility. Headlines that is at the top, but we have a balanced formation. So line judge is going to be primary on this. And as this goes away from the line of scrimmage official at the bottom, line judge, that's his key. And that's the other part to remember about this is that's the back that he's watching. So a line of scrimmage guy at the top shouldn't even have to concern himself or herself with that pass. What happens is at the top of the screen, I punch that guy forward, and the ball is kind of laying on top of guys and didn't know the ball didn't hit the ground yet. And as you can see at the bottom of the screen, line of scrimmage guy, that's his key. It's his play, his bread and butter, and he's got that guy backwards. I don't even look at him. I don't concern myself with it. And once that ball is on the ground, I come in waving that thing off. So the issue with this then becomes, okay, how do we get involved with replay because we have an immediate recovery if they wanted to challenge that? And these plays being with not the good video that other levels have, don't know whether those things can be deciphered or not. So with the limited view of screen, yeah, we definitely need to make a call, but we also need to let that responsibility go to who is the primary on that and let that play go. And if we have to sort it out at the end, we can do that and say, hey, I'm 100% that was incomplete. We're going to go incomplete and we're going to move on. Anybody have any questions with that?
I mean, not so much questions, Jim, but I do have some good, you raised some good points, and I think that we should talk through, right? Like a lot more leagues now have replay of some type, right? Like a lot more of our leagues at the Division II level and potentially even at the Division III level have the coaches challenge system that they implemented last year as part of the rule. But and you know the when in question statements would indicate that when in question with replay, you know, we want this backward, right? That's what the statement says. But I think that the point that Jim raises here is a good one in that you got to know where your cameras are, and you have to know if it's not going to be helpful, you still got to do, like, don't let replay be a crutch in those games. I mean, we shouldn't let replay be a crutch ever, but we certainly can't afford to do that in games in which we have this one camera that we're looking at, right? Because obviously the end zone camera is not going to help anybody anyway. So keep that in mind. And when we're doing that, you want to make sure that you're working the mechanics correctly. The other thing, to go back to the previous play with Jim, he mentioned about trips to the line judge causing us to change our mechanics. That's a COC thing. So obviously you need to do whatever your supervisor says as it relates to forward, backward pass, holding line. But those are two things I just wanted to bring up, Jim. But these are good plays and good things to keep in mind.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, and it's disciplining ourselves to let those gals do their job too, and not trying to do everything all the time. Anybody else have any questions on this one? So if we were to go to replay with this, and we did say that, hey, that thing was backwards and they wanted to review it, we'd probably have to make it the call on the field, correct? Of that being.
Yeah, I don't know that there's enough I don't know that you've got indisputable evidence to make this to flip this. I think you're going to get you get a lot of stands, right? I would expect you to get a lot of stands at the Division II level.
Yep.
Unless you are fortunate enough to be working a replay system that incorporates any kind of local broadcast. And even then, I don't know how many cameras they would bring.
Yeah, and that's what's been hard with that too, because local broadcast does show different views, and they said that they're not going to provide us access to those views. It's still only going to be the sideline and end zone. So, but yeah, definitely got to make a call. Got to stick with it. And if there's somebody who does have 100% knowledge that, hey, we're not doing that, we're going to change the call in the field, then we're going to change the call in the field. All right. One more play from, or actually I got two more from this one. This is one that I like to call when screen pass plays go bad, the back isn't as open as he could be, or the quarterback's under duress a heck of a lot faster. So I'll try to play this through real quick. It's a matter of the quarterback not releasing the ball when he wanted to. And now the question is, do we have linemen downfield and do we have possible OPI? Because now the pass is beyond and now you've got guys blocking because the pass goes over the back's head. I'll play this through and let me know if it's too choppy.
Hey, Jim, when you shared, did you do the optimize for video sharing?
I did not.
All right.
I did that.
Why don't you cancel and reshare that way? That might help out.
Okay. Do I hit stop share?
Yeah, stop share and then start a new share and it should be it should be like a checkbox when you're doing that.
Okay. Nope, I don't see okay, I hit the green share.
Yeah, share. And then
I see it.
there should be on like in layouts, it should be options. You should see like
There it is.
optimize for video
Got it.
clip.
Got it.
All right. Hopefully.
Okay. We'll try this guy now.
Yeah, a lot smoother.
Good. Okay, so if everybody saw that clean all the way through, I'll just stop it when we are getting close to him releasing the ball. So now you got guys going downfield, and you can see that back is really not clearly open, no clear lane to throw to him. So quarterback's holding on to the ball a little bit more, which gives all our linemen and other people to get downfield to put a body on a body and block somebody. So because they're expecting that ball to be gone already. So line of scrimmage guys, we're holding the line to make sure that passes where it's touched, behind or beyond. And then also the opposite wing up at the top is going to help out with linemen downfield. And this obviously gets to be a bit of a cluster. So my question to deep people is, can deep people help out on this as far as any kind of OPI opportunity? If you back it up, I believe number 84 who comes out, he is a tight end, so a deep wing on that side could be paying attention to him to see if he does end up blocking downfield because the man in motion goes away from line of scrimmage guy. So now the ball's in the air now, and you see 84 at the 15 starting to get close to a defender and, you know, possibly interfere with him. He does end up tipping the ball and ends up getting intercepted. And I'll go to the end zone view here also. So the question here is there any chance that a deep wing would throw OPI on this, would know to throw or not, or just leave everything alone? I guess it's a matter of the screenplay, not anybody deep downfield. Would you be able to come in and help out with that? Just say, for instance, that a back judge throws a flag for OPI. Does anybody in the deep three end up getting involved and saying, hey, that's not OPI, you know, we got to pick that up, they picked it off, or are we not throwing a flag down because it did get picked off? Any deep people have anything to say about that?
Where are deeps at here? Anybody wants to take a kind of talk through their progression here? Could you go back to the sideline? Okay, thanks.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we got you now, Ryan. Go ahead.
Using a new microphone speaker, so that's why I was just checking. I would assume not to throw on this just because of the pick.
So you'd be watching the tight end come out and block.
Yeah.
Go
So,
ahead, go ahead and play
well,
on
yeah,
that.
because if I'm the deep wing at the bottom, and if that's my guy, I'm watching him and I'm thinking about throwing it, but then once I see it's picked, then I'm gonna keep it in my pocket and maybe write it up later.
So I hear that.
That's my guess.
I hear that, Brian. The only thing I would say here to that is that works if you know there's no other foul in this play.
That's
You know what I
true.
mean? Like,
Yep.
but if there's like D hold somewhere else and you don't call OPI and then it gets flipped, or it doesn't get flipped rather. But now the only foul is for something you don't have. I think there's a difference between like not being sure about the timing and maybe writing it up and just passing because of the result. I think those are two different things. You know what I mean?
Yep. That makes sense.
I think if you see this guy block and maybe you don't know if the pass crossed or not, and you need to figure out how you're getting that communication from your line of scrimmage guys, I would expect that you guys are probably trained to throw and then wait for us to tell you it's behind, right? Deeps, generally true.
That is generally true. Yep.
Okay. So Seth, if this were you on this play, right? What are you doing here?
Yeah, so it's a two-step process. Clearly see that he's blocking downfield. I'll find the football, and at the time that he's blocking, if the ball is out of the hands and that ball is I can easily pick a landmark and choose that it's past the line. I'm going to throw my flag right away because I mean it's not picked off yet, and he's definitely blocking downfield. So, at that point, we'll see the result of the play. I'll come in and I'll tweet, and everybody will be like, hey, I'll say we had OPI. Any other fouls? No, we're picking it up. We're going the other way. Done.
Yeah, I think that's good, and we're lucky here, right, on this play because we snap at the 20, so that's a pretty solid yard line for you to use. And the other part too, right? Like 60, whoever that guy is that's double teaming with the tight end.
Yeah, I think it's 69, 68. Yeah.
So we also have to think about what is he allowed to do, right? 64, whatever his number is, doesn't matter. So he didn't make contact with a guy within a yard and drive him up to 3 because he's only 3 yards downfield. He's not at IDP distance, but he can't go seek that guy out and block him like that if the pass crosses the neutral zone. I'm not saying we call that all the time. I'm not even saying we should call all the time, but that's, if 60, whatever that guy's number is, had hit that guy and was driving him to that point, I would probably be much less inclined if I were a deep guy, and that's a big if, to call OPI because 69 is legally blocking that guy. So who cares really what the tight end's doing to him? You know what I mean?
Correct.
But because 69 also comes out and creates this block, not in the manner that the linemen are allowed, then we're dealing with a potential OPI on that player too, which would be weird. We don't call a lot of OPI on the restricted linemen, but it's a possibility.
Yep. Cool. Anybody else? All right. Move to another one. This is a good one because the fact of it's got a couple things here. So with the new mechanic of 4th and short being in scrimmage kick formation, what line of scrimmage guys want to do is move to the line to gain. And that being new this year, I thought that this one would be a good reminder, a good one to look at to use for that. So letting this guy go forward. So now we got a guy in motion, and now he goes to take a hand-to-hand snap. So anybody care to venture where I'm going with this one? Any umpire or referee available or center judge?
Was the guy still moving forward when he got the snap?
That's 1 point.
Numbering exceptions.
That's what I'm after. So this was at the end of the first half, and we got fooled by this. We did not get this because he takes a hand-to-hand snap and he goes. So at the end of this, we didn't, I don't believe we even had a conversation until halftime was about numbering exceptions, and going to the end zone view, you can see that we definitely do not have 5 guys 50 to 79. Now, whether our coach talks about, hey, we're going to run a fake punt, this is what we're doing. This is week 1. You know, you got to be ready for everything. And this one slipped by us. I believe we ended up giving them a first down, and I don't believe they scored, but regardless, this is one of those that, you know, you're questioning on all the time. You read about, yeah, I got it. And then all of a sudden here we are, and we got fooled by it, and it sucks. Anybody have any way to keep this from happening?
I think this is a really good reminder to make sure well, there's a couple of factors, right? Like ideally, we scout and we identify these numbering exception players. But practically things change with rosters anyway, right? Like, especially with the road team, they don't travel with as many as the home team does. So maybe their normal punt team at home is not the same as their punt team on the road. That's not something that maybe we thought about, but it's possible, right? If they only bring in 60 players on the road, then they might be leaving some of their special teamers at home. Ideally, we'd also maybe talk with if we're umpires in the pregame, go find our special teams coaches and try to get the numbers of the field goal and the punt team. I think that's helpful too, but otherwise you got to take a snapshot and make sure, I think as a line scrimmage guy, I would do my best to get my numbers on my side of the formation, but I certainly would at least want to know my tackle and my end.
Correct. So this one kind of reminded me of Mr. Frain's presentation a few weeks ago, more than a few weeks ago, first play of the game, about that targeting, you know, being ready and walking the walk and talking the talk of being ready. And this one we were definitely not ready for, and let this one get by us. So hopefully this doesn't happen to anybody. Anybody else?
If I may, if I may, real quick, it's a slightly different situation, but it's still on a scrimmage kick. On field goals and tries, what I've been doing as side judge is I will look for an eligible number who is ineligible by position and look to see if that player happens to go downfield on a botch play, because that happened to us a few years ago, and same thing, we missed it. And so if you see a small number in there, I key in on that guy if he happens to go downfield.
That's a good thing to do. Absolutely. That's definitely helpful, and going a little bit above and beyond and making sure that, you know, numbers on your side that's what we got to do, because we're all out there together. Anybody else?
Jim, refresh my memory on when we have the one.
What's that, buddy?
Chad, you kind of buzzed out there at the end. What is it that you wanted to be refreshed on?
Wonder if he got a phone call during just doing this on a phone.
Maybe. I guess we'll be left in suspense.
Sure. I can come back to it if you want to. But that's really all. Wanted to make sure we had something to look at for 4th and short. An example of that new mechanic, and also making sure that we have numbering exceptions when a fake punt is involved and taking a hand-to-hand snap. If he snaps it to the deep guys, you know, we got to make sure if someone goes out for a pass and catches it where they were. Kick plays are always fun. That didn't buy enough Chad enough time, so I'm gonna move on.
Hey, Jim, real quick, is how many yards to the first down do we go from? Is it 3 yards in? Or two?
I thought
3 or 2?
I thought 2.
2. Okay.
And obviously this guy goes up under center pretty quick, and I mean we're probably moving right with him for you know what this goes, but just something for the new mechanic to look at. All right. Next one is a different game with I'll go back to forward backward passes. I'm not as good as Steve Shaw with my vignettes yet, so I will bounce around this way. So forward backward pass again behind the line of scrimmage. We have plenty of receivers down to the bottom of the screen. So line of scrimmage guy at the top of the screen should have forward backward. So on this, I do believe that when I looked up, I did not see any signal. So I am at the bottom. I went with forward. I just made a decision and went with it. Something that I'm trying to do is use O2Os better and give some kind of other kind of signal that I can to the line of scrimmage guys, trying to pass that along to him to remind him or her that they have forward backward and I do not. You know, those kind of things, just being able to communicate to each other and make sure on the same page so you don't get the conflicting signals, because that's obviously just like anybody who does basketball with the old 2 whistles and block charge issue. Can be the same kind of thing, but we also want to revert back to and default back to letting these things go to replay if those guys are close and not trying to just guess. You have to know. You can't guess. And Nick, do you have anything that you could add when making those calls as a veteran line of scrimmage guy? Do you stay still and let that happen, or are you moving back to the spot to where it got thrown from?
I try to do that, especially when it's thrown within like 5 or 6 yards of the line of scrimmage. Sometimes getting back there is just not practical. Like on this throw, I would probably be moving into the backfield. I don't know that I'd ever end up in line with the thrower based on how far back he gets, but
Sure.
once I see him throw that ball, I'm going to try to get in that direction to try to get a better angle. Because right now, if I stay put, I got a lot of traffic, right? Like if I'm at the top and that's my decision to make, I've got to look through this tackle and end and potentially that guard on the backside to even see where the pass is touched. And if I have to make the decision, I want to have a better look at where the pass is touched. So I would slide back to the best of my ability, make that decision, signal, and then try to slide back toward the line of scrimmage.
Cool. Next one. This I thought was a great one to bring up because it deals with formations and warnings. Early in the game, it's play number 23, so we've definitely got opportunities to work with guys. We probably haven't had any kind of warnings, and now we've got a situation where a tight end is covered up. So those we want to hold a little bit more scrutiny on. We are snapping from the 22, and I have my wide guy over here, and this is going to also bring up a new mechanic of not punching guys back. Make sure we're communicating to our opposite wing official too about who's on and who's off, and having that conversation with yourself of, hey, I'm putting him on. If my guy inside there at tight end goes out, I could possibly have a problem. So the whole Warren situation, you know, you gotta, to me, you just gotta have them happen. And I made the decision for myself, and I told myself, hey, if he goes downfield and we got to pass, I've got to get him. I've got him covered up. Any thoughts on that, Nick?
No,
That the
I
right
think-
attitude to have?
Yeah, I mean, we need clear stagger to avoid covering the tight end. And it's, yeah, obviously you've got the best look from your position than we do on the video. Is it my question to you, and looking at where this little stripe in the turf is, he's probably right up on the line. So there's not much you can do. The one thing I would probably want to communicate here if I were in your shoes is just get on the radio and say, hey, tight end number whatever is covered. Because I don't ever want to be the only guy that has to be responsible for knowing that a guy with an eligible number is ineligible and goes downfield and does something. Because I got other stuff to worry about.
So sure as can be, he goes downfield, and now we have a pass. And that's where flag comes out. And with grading this, that's neither here nor there. I don't even remember if it was a right call or not, but it's a matter of, do we warn when we can and we flag when we have to. Now, the other question too comes with, if I have a flag since he went downfield in the pass across the line of scrimmage, if he was the first one to touch, now we have a different foul, and we have different penalties that are involved. End up being a loss of down because now we have illegal touching. And would we report both of those fouls, or we would just report the one that we would just go with? I believe we would report both of them.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
And then we would ding them with the worst and decline the other, even though we have the one flag down. We wouldn't put two flags down, correct?
I doubt it. I mean, it's possible that the spot of him being IDP and him getting up with the ball are not close to the same. They're not critical. You could throw two. I don't think it really matters.
Okay. Anybody have anything else? Okay. Next one. This has a little bit to do with the play before where we had the screen pass go a little awry. A little bit somewhat the same situation. Play this one through. No, why it's having trouble loading, but we get the same kind of thing with the back coming across and possibly blocking downfield. Let's go back to the beginning and see. I guess my internet's a little questionable. Well, this isn't gonna go over well. So when we go to the end zone view of it, this I think is where deep guys could get involved, because they might see a little bit more of the blocking, might be able to see some more contact. And you can see that there's nothing really there as far as any OPI, IDP. It's clearly, the ball is clearly gone before anybody's near going down line of scrimmage, but you have that block at the 40. That would be in question. And when you look at it back from the end zone, you can see that from a line of scrimmage perspective, it might look like there's contact, but the end zone view, there's not even any contact there. and the pass is already to that receiver there at the 42, 43 yard line. The other thing that I wanted to bring up with this one is the coaches screaming coming out onto the field. I've got my back to them. I don't know what happened. I don't know why I went the way that I did, but would deep people get involved in this and have a flag? Because that isn't even the head coach. And I think that this one probably would have warranted a flag because he is complaining about ineligibles downfield and OPI. That's what both those guys were asking about. Anybody have anything to add to this one?
Yeah, as a deep, you might have trouble throwing that flag because he's yelling specifically at a different official. So you coming in, I see what you're saying. I mean, I think it's warranted, but I think that flag probably needs to come from you in that situation. I don't know, being 25 yards away, throwing it, coming in. I don't know what everyone else's thoughts are, but that's a little tough.
I think Jim, if I were in your shoes, I wouldn't do anything different. I think that the thing I would say to that, Jacob, is like, is he allowed to be out there in the first place? The answer to that question is no. Now, could we maybe get a little gray with, is he coaching? Maybe. But I think if we're all on the same page that it's clear that he's out there and he's yelling at one of us, I think I would really appreciate deep support on a UNS there, because otherwise I have to turn my head and find him. And if Jim, if you had turned your head and he's standing there on the field, you're going to flag, right?
I absolutely would, because I knew what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what would a sideline warning, if I obviously don't have anything and would a sideline warning be helpful, better than nothing from a deep?
It'd be better than nothing, but that's not what it's for, right?
Correct. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think that, obviously if you see him, you're going to flag it yourself. I would say if you're engaged with him, I'm not throwing that, but if you're walking away, I would throw that for you.
Yep, it's definitely a gray area, and it's always that caveat of finding something to do. Just because nobody's even near you, there could possibly always be something to do. But those few things on that one. If anybody else has got anything else, I will move on to the last one that I got. Chad, are you back yet? Do you want to ask anything?
Oh, yeah, Jim. Hey, sorry, I'm losing my connection. On that, on the fourth down with the new mechanic moving to the line to gain, what's the distance?
Yep.
What's the distance that they're asking us to move?
A couple yards.
Yeah,
just a couple yards.
Fourth and 2 or less.
Yep.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. I could not remember, so that's why I wanted to ask.
And then also with this, if we do have a first down under 2 minutes, this is I believe this was under 2 minutes. Either way, if we don't have our 2 minute warning, not 2 minute warning, 2 minute timeout, if we do not have that yet, we would want to kill that clock for that. If we deem that progress to be before that, then all we're going to do is raise our hand. And I think that we got mixed up here a little bit with that, but this year should be a little bit more straightforward too. Because if we're more, then we're just going to put our hand up and we're going to move on. And then stop it at 2 minutes for the 2 minute timeout.
The other thing I'd tell you too, Jim, is like, obviously every stadium, sometimes you got 1 clock, sometimes you got 2, sometimes you got more, whatever. But I would put the onus on recognizing the 2 minute timeout has come up. if it happens like while the ball is live here on our deeps, because if we're spotting the ball, all I know is we either have or have not taken the 2-minute timeout. And if we have not, I'm probably just gonna put my hand up and expect my downfield partners looking at the clock when the ball's dead at some point and we can stop the clock. So
Okay.
I think last year was a one-time thing where we had to make a bunch of different decisions around the 2-minute, around the 2-minute mark. And I'm glad we don't have to do that anymore.
Sure, absolutely. All right. This last one I think is just a great example of red zone, OPI, staying with your key a little bit longer, whose responsibilities, and being able to shift those responsibilities if they need be. We have trips at the top of the screen, so widest guy belongs to deep, who is on the pylon. Second man in belongs to line of scrimmage. Third man in, since he's not a tight end hand in the dirt, he's going to belong to the back judge. Back belongs to a other line of scrimmage, and deep guy on the other side has his wide guy. The question here with this one becomes, when do we flip those responsibilities between the line of scrimmage and back judge based on what these guys do, and how long do we want to stay with them? So I will let this play through, and then I'll start it back up, and anybody can bring up what they want. So as you can see, number 2 goes down about 5 yards and picks a spot. And number 3 inside goes flat down the line within line of the line of scrimmage. So the question now becomes, are we flipping those responsibilities between line of scrimmage and back judge?
So Jim, I'll jump in here. I'm not going to flip responsibilities, but I'm going to have my antennas up and a very wide vision. I don't see any reason why the back judge cannot see both of those guys peripherally. I would definitely throw a flag. You know, obviously I'm not in this game in this situation, but this happened to us in multiple games last year, and I had my flag out every time. So I would think both would have eyes on both the receivers.
Okay. Any other line of scrimmage people find something else they would say? I personally, when this happened, when that number 3 flattened out and went right down the line, I went to him because I felt the pass coming to him.
Yeah, I think we should be doing, I think we should do the same thing that Seth was talking about, right? Like, I think we see our guy, our number 2 post up there. He's got 2 guys on him. And while the guy comes running to us, I understand what you're saying about like being prepared for the pass coming to you. And that's clearly what happens. But but you're not going to miss him catching or dropping the ball in space. So I think the bigger focus for me, if I were you, would be certainly to be more attuned to what number 2 is doing until he's either free of foul or the ball is in the hands of number 3, and then switch. Or, to Seth's point, keep a really wide field of vision and see both guys, because I think we can do that. They pass right near each other. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to look through 3 to 2 when that ball gets caught.
Yep. And that's what I was kind of hoping you would say, the term free of foul, because that's a lot of some new verbiage that we're using this year. So I'm glad that you brought that point up, because he, whether he does foul there or not, I don't know. It was said that he did not foul because he just went to a spot. He didn't seek anybody out. And obviously everybody can watch film and judge that and get their own perception of it. But all he did was went and got in his way. And I remember seeing that end of that and saying, well, man, he didn't go and block anybody. All he did was spin around. So the end zone view, we don't really get a good look at much of anything with that. So it's a conversation, obviously, with back judge and line scrimmage guy to whether to have a flag and not put a flag or pick it up and, hey, did he do enough? Did he not do enough? And are you close enough? Are you warned as you ship? All those kind of things that come into play, but basically knowing what you saw and not guessing is what this one's really about. What did he actually do? So if nobody has anything, that's the last play that I have. If there's anything else from any other plays that you want to bring back.
Jim, can you just play it a couple more times?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, some things I've heard and been told, and some things I've been at, like, neither of those receivers are pressed, and we're kind of more open. We're not, they're not man on man, so we can have a little wider view too, just like you guys were saying. Right, so we would be watching kind of both of that till we see what happens. Right, because if they're pressed, then we have to definitely take care of that. But I agree with the keeping a little wider field of view to pick that up.
Yep. I agree. So like I said, that's really all the plays that I have. Appreciate everybody's time and input. Just hope that these things will bring some conversation for pregame and being able to see something to be able to talk about and think about, and knowing where your eyes go and staying with your initial responsibility, making sure in the red zone that nobody's cheating.
Thanks, Jim. I
So,
really appreciate you. Really appreciate you doing it. Thank you for taking care of that today.
you're welcome.
To kind of put a bow on some things for this week. Obviously, this and all of our other videos will be up on the YouTube site here once the meeting's over. Just to share this information, we have one more presentation meeting, and that will be the meeting on the 9th of September. We've got 3 of our guys are a side judge, back judge, and a line judge, which will take responsibility for talking about how the line scrimmage and D3 can work together. And then the rest of our meetings, the other 4 meetings that we have on the books, are all going to be like teachable moment situations. And that'll be an opportunity for us to share plays from our games, since there'll be, what is that, September 23rd is roughly week 4. We should have some games. Sure, be willing to share a play or two. I believe there was a link to this playlist in the email I sent out the other day. You can go into the link, add a play to it, and we'll go around the horn like we've done. And if we don't get to it that week, we'll put it in the bank for the next time. So that's kind of what's going on. But that's where we're at right now. I wish all of you good luck going into your games this week. And I hope you have all. I wish you all best of luck and hope to see you here in a couple weeks. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Jim, great job, buddy.
Thank you.